Well, I'd like to thank the RMT Young Members Conference for inviting us to speak today. Like it's been said, my name's Ian Pattinson. I'm a member of the You Fight for Jobs campaign, and I took part in the 330-mile Jarrow March, where we marched from Jarrow in the northeast of England down to London, holding protests in every town and city along the way to put youth unemployment right to the top of the political agenda. And Jarrow March for Jobs was a fantastic success, but it wouldn't have been possible without support we had from the trade union movement and particularly the RMT. I've still got my RMT rucksack that I carried with me every step of the way, and you yourselves can get a piece of Jarrow March history. You can get one of these fantastic t-shirts I'm wearing now for a knockdown price of £5, so I expect to be mobbed in the lunch break for those. But it's absolutely clear that we've been discussing today that young people are being attacked from every side. Last year we saw a terrible indictment, over 1 million young people out of work. What a condemnation of the policies, the failed policies of this government, and that's why we marched to demand this government creates decent jobs for young people. It makes no sense that there's £130 billion sitting in the banks of big business who are refusing to invest that to create jobs because it's not profitable for them. And You Fight for Jobs, we say they should be investing that money, but if they're not going to invest it, we should nationalise these companies and use their money to create jobs and provide public services for ordinary people. We shouldn't be bailing out the banks, we should be nationalising them. But we didn't just march for job creation, we marched for free education against tuition fees rising to £9,000. We marched to bring back EMA, we marched to reinstate closed youth services, we marched for decent housing for all young and working people. And I think the success of the Jarrow March was shown by how much support we had from ordinary working class people along the way. Obviously trade unions donated a huge amount, but we raised thousands of pounds, people just throwing money in our buckets as we were marching down the country. A couple of examples of the fantastic support we got was the one woman when we were marching from between Darlington and marching down from Darlington, stopped a car on the motorway, threw 100 quid in our bucket and legged it off before we could even get a name to thank her. And we also went along to the AAE cable workers. These are private sector workers who have been losing their jobs as a result by attacks of the bosses and big business. And we thought it was important for You Fight for Jobs to give them a £50 donation to support their dispute and struggle. But they rejected our donation because they said it's more important for that money to go to You Fight for Jobs and the work that we're doing for defending the rights and services of young people in the future. But the You Fight for Jobs didn't end with the Jarrow March. We're now trying to build You Fight for Jobs even more as an organisation, campaigning organisation for young people in towns and cities up and down the country. So I encourage everybody here to get involved in your local You Fight for Jobs group, find out who they are from me, or get involved yourself when you're back home. Because we've obviously we marched on the issues we marched on jobs and the other issues, to put them at the top of the political agenda. But we want to go out now and win on these issues, win better services and rights for young people. So we've got different campaigns on those issues. In my area in Newham, we're demanding that the local council starts paying out EMA even after the government has cut it. If Tower Hamlets and Southwark councils in London can afford to pay out EMA, why can't the rest of them? But one of the biggest things we've seen the last week that we've been campaigning on is the workfare schemes, which I'm sure you know are where the government and big business take young unemployed people and make them do a full-time job, working 30 hours a week, but don't pay them. All they get paid is their measly dole payments, £53 a week for doing for a full-time job. This has already been used to undercut the wages and conditions of RMT members at places like Finsbury Park, undermining the organisation of RMT, undermining their power, our power to strike. But it's really a race to the bottom, because why are big business going to hire somebody who's in a trade union on proper paying conditions when they can just get someone for free from their dole office for the month? And that's why tomorrow we're having a protest at the Westfield shopping centre in Stratford in East London. We're having a Westfield workhouse tour. We're going to be marching in to the shopping centre, exposing all the companies that have signed up to the scheme, explaining to the staff and shoppers there what these companies are really like. We've got the Youth Fight for Jobs national organiser, Paul Callanan, speaking on Newsnight tonight about workfare, and encourage everyone to look at that. And we've got a protest right now as we speak outside the A4E company, which is the company that's administering the workfare scheme. The boss of that, Emma Harrison, paid herself £8.4 million last year. And talk about conflict of interest. This company has had workfare participants volunteering, working for their own company. So they don't even have to pay their own workers a proper wage. So it'd be really good to have a solidarity message from the conference, that protest going on at the moment now. But to win on these issues, we can't be divided. We need unity between young unemployed people, students and workers. The government will try and divide these issues off. But all the attacks we're facing in the public and private sector for young and older workers are absolutely the same, attempt by this government to make young and working class people pay for the crisis caused by big business, bankers and the rich. We need to link our struggles and support everyone that's fighting back. So I encourage you to support the NUS student walkout on the 14th of March, when students will walk out against tuition fee rises, against the scrapping of EMA, against cuts on campuses and against privatisation of their education, selling their education off to big business. I encourage you to support the pension strike on the 28th of March as well, because it was discussed today about, do people support what the trade unions are doing? Well, on the last pension strike on November 30th, it had 79% support among young people for that strike, because they saw those public sector workers as fighting for all of us, not just fighting against pensions, but fighting against all the cuts. And young people should be supporting the pensions dispute. It's not just about older workers. It doesn't make sense if public sector workers have been forced to work till they're 68, work until they drop, work until well after they want to retire, where the job's going to be for young people like ourselves. It doesn't make any sense that your older workers are being forced to work after they want to retire and young people are being denied those jobs. So I encourage everyone to come, like Steve said this morning, to the National Shop Stewards Network conference in June of this year. We're going to link all these struggles, discuss how we can fight back against this government. There's going to be a Youth Fight for Jobs speaker there, but also Bob Crow, obviously General Secretary of the RMT, is going to be addressing that conference as well, because it's working class people, trade unionists like yourselves, they're going to be absolutely key to stopping the cuts, bringing down this government and defending our rights and services now and in the future. Thank you.